Science can predict these things so precisely that we can track them for centuries ahead and centuries back. There's no guesswork in the clockwork. But when it happens, it's not about anything but magic. Father Sun and Mother Moon get married again.
Oh, yeah! Listen to me.
I can see it. I saw it. I can see it with the naked eye. A brief synopsis of my trip. 2 weeks, let's say 2 weeks off of work, fly about 20 hours to get here, a total of about 30 hours on a bus, 2 nights camping, which was a lot of fun, for 3 minutes of darkness. And it was worth every penny of it.
Bolivia is a landlocked nation in the center of South America. On Thursday, November 3rd, 1994, the moon cast its shadow along a narrow path that crossed southern Bolivia. Thousands of people from all over the world would gather there to watch the resulting total solar eclipse. La Paz is Bolivia's largest city, perched on the edge of a 4,000-meter plateau called the Altiplano, or High Plain. The Cordillera Real branch of the Andes Mountains forms a backdrop of snow-capped peaks above the city. 1 million people live in a blend of the new and the traditional. La Paz is a fascinating place to visit. It is also an easy place to get to. Our tour starts here. Unfortunately, the eclipse path is far to the south of the city in the middle of the Altiplano. The Andes Mountains divide in two where they cross Bolivia. Between the ranges lies the rugged Altiplano. The Altiplano can be thought of either as a high plateau or as a mountain basin. Weather systems must cross the mountains to reach the basin. As the air rises, it cools. Any moisture condenses out as rain or snow on the mountains, leaving the Altiplano below dry and desolate. However, the thin, dry air is perfect for astronomers.
Well, this is my second eclipse, and it's nice to say that each one was very special, but they were both so different. And I think that makes it very appealing to go, nice background noise, makes it very appealing to go to another one, to experience something different each time. I think the best part about the eclipse was seeing the shadow come over. I actually saw it this time, and I didn't get to see it last time. I don't remember anybody talking about it, and I think that was that was really neat. I knew where to look for it and to experience it, and just the eeriness of it getting dark. It was just bizarre. It wasn't like dusk or dawn or anything, and I think that was the best part about the eclipse.
Normally, the photosphere of the sun, the brilliant part we see, drowns out the faint corona, the hot, rarefied atmosphere of the sun. Eclipses used to be the only way to observe the corona, inspiring astronomers to travel across oceans, jungle, and desert to reach the Path of Totality. The corona extends outwards for several times the sun's diameter, but grows fainter farther out. The outer corona eventually fades into the solar wind, which reaches past Earth and all the planets. The camera cannot capture the range of contrast and fine detail that the human eye can see. Additionally, haze or thin clouds will block out the outer corona. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon gets between the Earth and the sun, casting its shadow on the surface of the Earth. In these diagrams, the distance between the moon and Earth is reduced by a factor of 10 for clarity. Total eclipses are rare because the shadow traces such a narrow path, seldom more than 100 or 200 kilometers wide. When the moon is on the part of its orbit farthest from Earth, or at apogee, its shadow cone falls short of Earth's surface. In this case, the moon is not large enough to cover the photosphere of the sun, and at the center of the eclipse path, one will see a ring of bright sunlight around the dark moon for a ring or annular eclipse. Why isn't there an eclipse every month at new moon? The moon's orbit is tilted 5 degrees from Earth's orbit. Only when new moon occurs at the intersection of the two orbital planes will an eclipse occur. To reach our observing site, we first head south on the Pan-American Highway. The good 2-lane blacktop could have been any place in West Texas. At Macaya, we stopped to refuel for the last time. We will not see gas pumps or asphalt again as we head out across the countryside. Bolivia is the size of Texas and California combined, but has fewer miles of paved roads than Delaware. On the first day out, we will reach Nevado Sajama. The second day, we will reach Lake Macaya. And after the eclipse on the third day, we will return all the way to La Paz. This land has been occupied for millennia. It was on the fringe of the Inca Empire, so the Quechua and Aymara Indians were able to keep their separate identities. Pre-Columbian tombs called chulpas dot the hilltops, their doors facing east towards the sunrise. Chulpas were constructed out of layers of mud and straw. Even in this dry climate, erosion is slowly taking its toll. The graves have long since been robbed of anything of value. Nevertheless, the whole area is an archaeologist's paradise with bits of broken pottery. Over millennia, these fragments of baked clay will probably outlast the dried mud of the chulpas. Also dating from pre-Columbian times is the llama. The llama is a distant relative of the camel. It is well suited for the harsh conditions of the Altiplano. Adobe and stone corrals are a common sight. The bicycle and the dog are ubiquitous tools for tending the herds. Llama wool provides a livelihood for many a peasant in this remote region. Small villages are widely scattered all across this part of the Altiplano. Even the smallest has its own church, complete with bell tower. Some farmers live in isolated adobe homes closer to their fields and animals. The Bolivian government has been working hard to inform everyone about the eclipse, but we wonder if people here really know what to expect.
We went to the one in Mazatlan and got clouded out.
But it was so
At
wonderful.
that time, it was the most beautiful thing we'd ever experienced. And now, this is the most beautiful thing we've ever experienced. This whole event, the people, the place, the events. We noticed the flamingos taking flight from the lake this morning. Oh, yeah. We had just a luck chance to look at the llamas, and the ones that we saw had just frozen. They just stopped walking and kind of looked
And
up.
looked at the heaven.
Yeah, and then all of the other emotions that have already been expressed, we share those immensely.
I thought it was peaceful but exhilarating at the same time.
Right.
And it's really hard to find that. And only in nature, I think, do you find that feeling. So it was definitely worth everything it took to get here.
And it took a lot.
It took a lot, but it was worth it.
Over 3 years earlier, on July 11th, 1991, the moon's shadow had crossed Mexico for one of the longest eclipses of the century. Thousands of eclipse chasers converged on the Baja Peninsula to observe almost 7 minutes of totality. The approaching shadow was clearly visible from many locations. A spectacular diamond ring signaled the start of the total phase of the eclipse. Large solar prominences appeared on both the east and west sides of the sun. These are hot gases torn from the surface of the sun that get caught in loops of the solar magnetic field. They glow red from hydrogen. The darkness at midday also led to unusual behavior in animals, such as these cows heading home just after totality ended. We would be looking for the same phenomena in Bolivia. Midday, we come across a shallow lake bed. November is near the end of the dry season, so the water here is all but gone. However, there is mud just below the surface. The bus travels across empty to lighten its load, while we get to stretch our legs crossing on foot. Later, we encounter ruts and holes deeper than the height of our axle, and we discover why all bus drivers carry a shovel. Drivers also double as mechanics in a place where the nearest garage is a long, difficult day's drive away.
Oh, I'm exhilarated. It just confirms for me that all is one, that everything is part of the same oneness, and to experience it with other people and with animals, flamingos, the environment has just been a wonderful experience. To have my whole family here, my wife, my 3 children, my wife Ellen, Taryn, Cerise, Morgane, my kids. It's just, I think I'll never forget it. It's been wonderful.
Was this your first eclipse?
This was my first eclipse. Yeah. I've seen partial eclipses, but just at home, but never actually made it an effort to be at the site of a full eclipse and view it in the appropriate way. And it was worth it. It was worth all the many, many hours of driving here and the bumps in the road and the stuck in the mud and driving through streams, the altitude sickness. We're all feeling fine now and having a great time. It's just almost an indescribable experience. It's hard to describe something that you feel but you don't have words for.
Our initial destination is Nevado Sajama. Sajama is the tallest mountain in Bolivia, more than 50% taller than Pikes Peak. Sajama is also a dormant volcano, part of the ring of fire that surrounds the Pacific Ocean. Here, over millions of years, collisions of tectonic plates created the Andes mountain range. Hot springs provide evidence that the rocks below have not cooled off yet. In the distance, steam rises from the volcano Guayatiri across the border in Chile. Sajama is only 18 degrees south of the equator, but is covered with glaciers. Meltwater from the snow and ice feeds nearby streams. In places, a stream and the road share space. Eclipses do not always occur near hotels and motels. We spend Tuesday night camping just north of Sajama. Although we could stay here to see the eclipse, its duration would be shorter than at the center of the eclipse path. Tomorrow, we will continue south to the center line to take advantage of the full 3-minute length of totality there. The pink glow of sunset may be volcanic dust left in the atmosphere by Mount Pinatubo. It could detract from our view of the faint outer reaches of the solar corona. Nevertheless, the thin, dry air of the Altiplano rewards us with the magnificent southern night sky. Orion rises upside down over the side of Sajama. To the south, we can see the large and small Magellanic clouds, which are never above the horizon in the mainland United States. Those who retired early definitely lost out. On the other hand, they got to stay warm in their sleeping bags. The mild afternoon temperatures are below freezing at dawn, as demonstrated by ice on the nearby stream. Yet we are only 500 kilometers from the steamy lowland jungles of the Amazon basin. Most trees cannot survive at the high altitudes of the Altiplano. The major exception is the polylepis tree. One of the largest remaining areas of polylepis is at the base of Sajama. In most of the Andes, they have been almost eliminated by peasants cutting firewood. Another unusual plant is the ureta. From a distance, it looks a bit like a green boulder. Closer examination reveals a multitude of smaller parts that form the larger structure. The ureta is flammable, so it has also been endangered by the search for firewood. The weather on Wednesday does not bode well for Thursday's eclipse. The clear skies of the previous night are long gone. We are just glad that the rain is falling on the distant hillsides and not turning our dirt road into mud.
I can't stop shaking. That's all. It was fabulous. And just thank you for everyone for sharing all their experiences, and I'll never forget.
Our destination is Lake Macaya, directly on the eclipse center line. We are almost within sight of the tiny border outpost of Macaya. The lake is just a stone's throw from Chile. Other eclipse chasers are camping out in the Chilean desert, while we make camp here. The local herdsmen must find it strange to have so many people show up at such a remote location. On the other hand, the flamingos do not seem to notice us at all. Clouds make for a glorious sunset, but they ensure that there will not be any stargazing tonight.
Roger, for example, went up the sacred line to the shrine. Most of us are down here. I wanted to pick up on the group because this is my first eclipse and I need a little bit of help, and I wanted to share it with everybody here who's been incredible all through the torture to get here. Roger, maybe if I had a second chance, I'd go up there with Roger, because the Andes are sacred mountains and this is a power spot. We have seen all the way down on the voyage down here, we've been seeing these sacred lines up to spots. We had our sacred line on our shrine up there, and for the rest, Steve has said it, I don't think I could go to another one and have any fuller experience than I've had here. So I'm glad I could share it with you.
A small religious shrine is perched on the hill above our camp. It is carefully constructed out of blocks of volcanic pumice, a soft rock that is easily worked into shape. The entrance faces east towards a sacred line from the town of Macaya. Villagers follow the sacred line to the shrine on major religious holidays throughout the year.
I had some wonderful reflections on the eclipse, but unfortunately the bus ride seems to have damaged my brain, and they're all gone. No, I had an experience that no one else on the planet had yesterday, I think. I was at the top of a little hill, sitting in, I think, a religious site. It certainly was for me. And watching a total eclipse for the first time. And I guess there were no words spoken at the moment, so I haven't yet put it into words.
Thursday morning starts out with too many clouds for comfort. The eclipse will occur midday over the South Atlantic, but at our location, totality will start at 8:19 in the morning. That does not leave much time to set up equipment, nor much time for the weather to clear. Meanwhile, the local populace goes about its business.
I'm off about 50 seconds.
Okay. Does anyone want to synchronize
Yeah.
Can everyone synchronize their watch?
Anybody need to know the time?
What's the exact time of
It's 7:40, 21, 22, 7:40 and 25 seconds, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Thin clouds come and go in front of the sun. A few simple experiments reveal that the sun is no longer a complete circle. Projecting an image through the gaps between one's fingers creates a multitude of thin solar crescents, one for each opening. A pair of binoculars can also be used to project a pair of images on the ground. They are brighter and sharper thanks to the optics. Throughout the partial phases, special filters must be used to view the sun directly.
We're going to see it.
The time is getting close as the remaining crescent continues to shrink. The air remains chilly without the sun to warm the earth.
Just the experience of it's so captivating to be able to look directly where the sun would be and have a dark shadow and then a fiery rim and to feel that. I don't know how to express that, but to feel that in my heart and just to be there in the presence of it and witness it, you know, with a group of people is a truly ecstatic experience. And I'm sorry that I'm so inarticulate, but it's not something that's on a verbal level for me. It's just, you know, right there, right in my gut, in my heart, in my belly.
Just before totality, the darkness becomes noticeable and the landscape takes on an eerie look. The mountains to the west grow dark first under the approaching shadow. Finally, the bright photosphere of the sun disappears and the faint solar corona comes into view. This is the outer atmosphere of the sun that is normally hidden by the intensity of the sun's photosphere. At our location, thin clouds obscure the fainter regions of the corona. A few of the brighter stars and planets come into view. Venus is just to the upper right of the sun, and Jupiter is to the lower right.
H is 60. I want to tell you that I don't care. I had tears in my eyes with this whole event.
Me too.
From, look at, flamingos in a lake to a steaming volcano to an eclipse with these two beautiful diamond rings, one on either side, these pink prominences, the long strands of the corona, little filaments that were coming up. Oh my God. You couldn't have asked for anything better. This is the best spot on earth, and I think everyone here, after 12 hours, well, 12 hours anyway, 12 hours of, that was the beginning of the trip, misery.
10 more.
Unbelievable. And I was saying to everyone here that I wish everyone on earth could see an eclipse together, and I don't think there'd be any war ever again.
The flamingos had been eating nearby in the lake since sunrise. For much of the eclipse, they continue their usual routine. Up until the start of totality, they remain in place. But midday darkness confuses many creatures. When we look for them again after the eclipse, the flamingos will all have flown back to their nighttime roost. Because the path of totality is barely over 160 kilometers wide, light from outside the shadow gives the effect of a sunset surrounding us on every side. The effect does not last long, though. Where we are, the apparent size of the moon is only 4.5% larger than the sun. The lunar umbra races by at 3,000 kilometers per hour. For 3 very short minutes, we can stare at the faint outer parts of the sun with our bare eyes. Before astronomy satellites were placed in orbit above the atmosphere, this would have been a rare opportunity to conduct scientific studies. All too soon, the first rays of sunlight reappear through a lunar valley, creating a spectacular diamond ring effect. Soon, daylight will return to normal. The receding lunar shadow can be seen as a dark area far off to the east.
Did you see that diamond ring?
Yes.
Was that incredible? Was that on both sides? That was
That's what you wanted to know.
incredible
I saw the ring.
Was that great or what?
Oh, yes, yes.
Wonderful.
So does that make the bus ride worth it?
Every bump, every bruise.
This is my second eclipse. It changes from eclipse to eclipse. It's mostly the people you're with, and definitely this one was much more exciting. A lot more warmth with the people you're with. But I think one of my best moments was a little bit after the eclipse. Steve had asked me to bring down some telescope equipment for some of the other people in the group to observe the sun and so forth, and I was kind of reluctant. It's a lot to carry down, a lot to schlep down. You risk damage in the plane and so forth, but when we had it set up and we had the local townspeople come by and look through the telescope, that was just an awesome experience to turn on these people, knowing that these people had probably never looked through a telescope, probably never seen a telescope, and probably the last time they ever will. And then on top of that, to show them an event like this was just awe-inspiring. It just really humbles you, makes you really feel good, made the trip worthwhile.
At night, the telescope had given us an excellent view of the southern stars. With the proper filter, it now allows us to view the eclipsed sun up close. After totality, the crescent sun grows rapidly. Many of the local townspeople have joined us by the lake. We are able to share the experience with them. The telescope has bridged the language barrier. We are connected through a common view of an uncommon event. First of all, it was a beautiful eclipse. But one of the things that made it special was we got teased a little bit. Believe it or not, there was rain last night at 2 a.m. on the tents. That wasn't wind, folks.
This morning, not last night, this morning.
Early this morning, 2 a.m., there was rain on the tents. It didn't do much to wet the land, but enough to make you a little nervous. Got up this morning, there were a lot of high clouds, haze, still a little nervous. But there are clear patches coming, so there's hope. There's always hope, even if it's pouring rain, but there was hope. And then we're down to 2 minutes to go. And there's one last band of haze going across the sun. It clears out just in time. We have a couple of beautiful diamond rings on either end, beautiful coronal streamers, a nice big prominence. You can't always depend on those when you're getting your solar minimum. And it was, what can I say? This is my fifth, and I've loved every one of them.
All right.
Now that the eclipse is over, we have to hit the road. It took 2 days to drive down from La Paz. We will have to drive back in 1. It will be a very long day. We initially retrace our steps. Then we head off on a shortcut. The road crosses our volcano's namesake, the Sajama River. Bridges are a rare sight in this region. A wise driver will have his assistant check for holes and soft spots before attempting to cross. This will become a lesson for us to remember.
So that's good. The other bus made it through. So rather than go the same way the other bus went, they're going to have him go a different route. That doesn't make any sense at all. I can't believe that.
Our shortcut to the Pan American Highway presents its own set of difficulties. The dry season had not been as dry as it usually is. Many roads in Bolivia are totally impassable in the wet season. Perhaps this may be one of them. We will not arrive in La Paz until 4 a.m.
I'm only going to comment about the bus ride. It's already history, it's forgotten, and I'm looking forward for many, many months of just digesting and thinking about the eclipse, because there are a lot of thoughts I want to put together about it. But the bus ride's behind us.
Yeah.
It was
No. No, we didn't get that wet, did we?
Get more deed on the knees. Oh, there's water in the bus.
Oh.
What?
You know, the water's pretty deep.
Now, I was going to my second camera, couldn't get it on the tripod fell over. I said, screw it, and picked up the binoculars.
Good, that's good. That's good. I can't be sure. I can't remember if I remember to look through the binoculars or not.
Biggest problem, you write everything down, what you're going to do, you forget that you don't have enough light to read it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Look how stuff you all over the tree.
You know, until I look over it right before the last diamond ring. I look over it. Everyone's like kind of trying to look at the telescope. I go, the cap.